Okay, so in looking through the King James Version Bible, and we seek just for the Sabbath, I don't like that number 116, because obviously that flipping to 911, which is crazy. But that's not what we're looking for, and that has absolutely nothing to do with this. So let's take a look at this. In the very first, actually this isn't the very first. This is, I know in Genesis it talks about the Sabbath quite a bit, but let's see where the Sabbath lies in the Bible. What does the Bible say about the Sabbath? And one thing I would like everybody to take a quick note of is that the Sabbath, most people think the Sabbath has been done away with. Like the Sabbath is for old Jews, or it is for the people of old. And so when we're going through this, see if you can find any of those qualifications of the people of old or the people of only Moses, because I've never found a verse in the entire Bible that tells me the Sabbath has been done away with, even though people will tell me that our Messiah is the Sabbath, and that is what they make their Sabbath. And if that was true, then they are basically creating their own religion that is outside of the Bible, because the Sabbath is made for everybody, including our Messiah, including you and all of us. So Exodus 16:23. And he said unto them, This is that which the Lord hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which ye bake today, and seethe that which ye seethe, and that which remaineth overlay up for you to be kept until morning. Now this is actually, not the very first one, but it is part of it. Exodus 16:25. And Moses said, Eat that today, for today is a Sabbath unto the Lord. Today ye shall not find it in the field. And so this was talking about when the Israelites were out in the desert, and it basically rained every morning manna. And 6 days it would rain manna. So on the preparation day, which was yesterday, Friday, it would have rained double portion. So they had double the food, so they didn't have to go out and collect their food on the Sabbath day. And so when he says, you shall not find it in the field, it's because manna did not come down on this Sabbath, because our Father is keeping his Sabbath. Exodus 16:26. 6 days shall ye gather it, but on the seventh, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. Exodus 16:29. See, for the Lord hath given you the Sabbath. Therefore he giveth you on the 6th day the bread for 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. So if we're looking for some sort of a guideline or qualifications or rule book or something of the sort as far as Sabbath goes, here's one right here. You're not to even leave your place, right? People will say, oh, Jason, you start your car, so you're kindling fire. And I will say to them, I don't go to a 501c3 church. We keep our Sabbath as a family. We have 5 of us, and so where we are gathered, our Father's gathered, his Son is gathered, we are all here. So this is just more rules that, let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. This is a day of rest. This is a day that we don't do anything. Exodus 28, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, if that is one of the 10 of the moral commands that we have, and one of those is remember the Sabbath day, if you're not keeping the Sabbath day, are you remembering the Sabbath day, or you just kind of think about it, oh, it must be a Sabbath? It's a blessed day, folks. But the 7th day is the Sabbath to the Lord, of the Lord. In it thou shalt shalt not do any work. Don't do any work on the Sabbath. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. What does that mean, guys? These are more of the description of things of how we should keep the Sabbath, right? We're not supposed to saddle up our horses and go for rides. We're not supposed to go plow our fields. We're not supposed to have our kids work. We're not supposed to have our daughters work. Our wives are not supposed to be working. They're not supposed to be cleaning and cooking and any of that sort. We stay restful. This is what a Sabbath is all about. Exodus 20:11. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So yet another promise of a blessing that we have on the Sabbath day. And he hallowed it, right? He made it special. This one day. Only one day, guys. Exodus 31:14. You shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. So lots of people always say that this is the laws of Moses. This does not apply to the Gentiles. This does not apply to the Christian church. This does not apply to anything, because all of the new school people don't have to keep the laws of God, because the laws of God were put on the cross, right? That is what I hear nearly every single day. And all I can do is beg people to read their Bibles. Exodus 31:15. For in 6 days may work be done, but in the Sabbath is the Sabbath of rest. But the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. So it's very important, even unto death. Guys, why is it so important that you may be put to death on a Sabbath day if this day wasn't a very important day? Wherefore the children of Israel, and people will say right there, stop, Jason, stop. It's the people of Israel. Guys, there is no Baptists, Catholics, Mormons, Lutheran, none of that stuff in the Bible. That stuff came 300, 400, 500 years after the Bible. None of this stuff. None of these religions are of our Father. If you are not worshiping on a seventh day, the religion that you're in is from the synagogue of Satan. And I say that with truth, and I say that with backing of the Bible, because there's no God in a 501c3 church. So when it says children of Israel, that is what you should want to be. You're striving to be a child of Yisrael. You're trying to be a child of God. If you are Israel, you are God's people. God's people are defined as anyone who keeps my laws, statutes, and commands. So if you are doing that, you are Yisrael, according to the Bible. But all the Christians will go, that's blasphemy, Jason. That's not real. Paul set us free from the laws. Paul did this. Paul did that. And I will just beg you to listen to what you're saying when you were quoting words from God. These are directly from the hand of God to his people. His people is you. You are his people. These are the words to you. So guys, you're supposed to. The children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath. So basically, the children of God shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. Guys, a perpetual covenant is a covenant that goes on and on and on and on. It doesn't say a perpetual covenant until my son comes, or until the Christian church decides they are going to become a authority on the Word of God, when obviously they are not an authority because they don't know the Word of God. Exodus 35:2. 6 days shall work be done, but on the Sabbath there shall be to you a holy day, a Sabbath of the rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. Exodus 35:3. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. So this is why we're not supposed to cook. You're not supposed to flip your oven on. You're not supposed to light fires. You're not supposed to light your car. You're not supposed to kindle fires. And a lot of people will say, well, Jason, kindling fire back in the days was going out, grabbing the wood, going collecting it, bringing it in, starting the fire. It was a big ordeal, which is very, very true. Flipping a lighter technically is kindling a fire. It's not collecting wood. It's not doing anything. But there is something about fire. Fire was given to us literally by the fallen. We didn't know how to deal with fire until one time when our Father gave it to Adam and Eve. He gave them a fire, and but beyond that, it was the fallen that taught man how to use fire, and it was the fallen that attacked man with fire as well in the book of Adam and Eve. So you're not supposed to kindle fire. We're not supposed to light fire. There's something about fire. Leviticus 16:31. It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you. You shall afflict your souls by a statute forever. And this is talking about the day of basically a day you're supposed to be fasting. You're supposed to be beating your soul up. Leviticus 23:3. 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh is the Sabbath rest, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is a Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Leviticus 23:11. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you, and on the morrow after the Sabbath the priest shall wave it. Now, I'm going to roll through a lot of this because I know a lot of people don't even take the Old Testament as scripture. They'll only take the New Testament, which is very sad. It's very broken, and without the Old Testament, you wouldn't get to the New Testament. It wouldn't be there. Numbers, yep. Even in Numbers they're talking about it. Deuteronomy for sure. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it. Deuteronomy 5:14. But on the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt do not do any work there. Thy son, your daughter, manservant, maidservant, or ox, your donkey, or your cattle, or your stranger that is within your gates, or manservant, maidservant. It's just reiterating within Deuteronomy everything that we've talked about to this point, which Deuteronomy is that. 2 Kings 4:23. Okay, so we're out of the Torah. We're into the prophets and different books. And he said, wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, it shall be well. So we're still talking about Sabbaths. We're in 2 Kings. We're way into the Kings. 2 Kings 11:15. And he commanded them, saying, this is the thing that ye shall do. A third of you that enter in on the Sabbath shall even be keepers of the watch of the king's house. So there's rules, things all up in here about the Sabbath. Nowhere in here does it ever say the Sabbath is gone, right? We have 2 Kings 11:9. And the captains over the hundreds did according to all the things that Jehoiada, the priest, commanded. And they took every man his men that were to come in on the Sabbath with them, that they should go out on the Sabbath, and came to Jehoiada as priest. Chronicles, yep, prepare it every Sabbath. Yep, showbread. This is the thing that you shall do. A third of you entering on the Sabbath. 2 Chronicles, more. Nehemiah. And made us known unto them the holy Sabbath, thy holy Sabbath, and commandment, thy precepts, statutes, and laws by the hand of Moses thy servant. So we have Nehemiah right here. And then you will have this little thing, by the hand of Moses thy servant. And the Christians are programmed. Literally, they are programmed. And if you don't know what I mean, you talk to any Christian about any of this, and they'll quote 4 or 5 scriptures. They are programmed with just a basic set of verses, and they don't know anything more than this. And they will fight tooth and nail as they go to their 501c3s, and they chew up the pork, and they love it. And they don't have to keep any of this because they don't fall under the laws of God. And that's very dangerous, especially when our Messiah says there's a very narrow path that we're all supposed to be walking. There it is. There's more Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a warrior for the Sabbath. This is 13:15. He goes in there and he sees all these people that are treading wine presses on the Sabbath, bringing in sheaves and lading donkeys, and also wine, grapes, figs. Man, these guys are working on the Sabbath day. And he testified against them in the day wherein they sold the victuals. And Nehemiah is the man. He fights for this. He's like, why do you profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Yisrael, or upon you people, by profaning the Sabbath. Don't you keep the Sabbath? There's only one day to be this blessed. And it came to pass when the gates of Jerusalem began to go dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates be shut, and charged that they should not be opened until after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gate, that there should be no burden be brought in on the seventh day. This guy saw everything that was going on. He stopped what was going on. In fact, Nehemiah is the man. Nehemiah right here, he goes, then I testified against them and said unto them, why lodge ye around the wall? If ye do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time forth came thy no more on the Sabbath. Right? So you have this old guy with a beard and a cloak and probably the dust of the world, and he's going to put hands on you. And people should understand that when people like that say they're going to put hands on you, they're going to put hands on you, right? And it's not going to be pleasant for you. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and they should come and keep the gates to sanctify the Sabbath. A psalm for the Sabbath. There's David singing about the Sabbath. There's Isaiah. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. So even in Isaiah right here, right? And the Christians will tell you again that the Sabbath is not for them. It's they don't have to keep the Sabbath, but every person in the Bible kept the Sabbath, including Paul. Also, the sons of the stranger that join themselves together to the Lord. This is the sons of the stranger. Do you guys realize that? The sons of the stranger could be like slaves. It could be people outside of Israel. But if they decide that they join themselves to our Father and they decide to serve him, like any Gentile, anybody can go out there and serve our Father. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you are doing. You will become a tribe of Israel, right? You may not know the tribe you are with, but you will become that. That is what you are trying to become. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it and taking hold of my covenant. Here's another one, guys. Listen to this. Isaiah 58:13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words. This is very important. Isaiah 66:23. And it shall come to pass from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. Now, we haven't seen that yet. We have not seen these days. We haven't seen it that everybody's coming to worship. There's very, very few people that keep the Sabbath. Jeremiah 17:21. Thus saith the Lord, take heed of yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring in it by the gates of Jerusalem. Guys, you're not supposed to be working today. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day, neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. Guys, is Adam your father? If you have common sense, absolutely. Your generation line goes to your dad, to your grandpa, to your great-grandpa, to your great-great-grandpa, to the great-great-great-grandpa, to the great-great... You got it, right? We're going around in circles. It is for, he commanded your fathers. Father Adam got that we keep the Sabbath. Father Seth says we should keep it. Father Methuselah says we should keep it. Father Noah, all the fathers prior to this. And I'm not talking about the Father, our Father, the main Father, Yahuwah. I'm talking about Dad. Jeremiah 17:24, and it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken to me, said the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day to do no work therein. So this is the same for your house. If ye diligently hearken to me, said the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of your house on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day to do no work therein. Now, I'm going to skip this Jeremiah and this Ezekiel because I know that everybody thinks these guys are the old prophets. Not for you today, but you can slow it down and read them. They all say to keep the Sabbath. Amos says we should keep the Sabbath. And there we are. Now we're into Matthew. Now, this is where the Christians believe they don't keep the Sabbath. So let's start with Matthew 12:21. At that time, Yahushua went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were hungered, and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. Right there, the Christians will say, look, there is no Sabbath day. Our Messiah took these men into a cornfield, and they started plucking the corn, and they started eating the corn. That is proof right there that there is no more Sabbath. And those are the things that people say when they haven't read the Bible, because there is a time in the Bible, and this is the same thing that our Messiah told the Pharisees that were sitting there messing with him. You're essentially talking about a man and his disciples, and they went from town to town, and they didn't have food. They didn't take anything. They went from town to town, and they were out teaching. They were hungry. They were walking through a cornfield. They grabbed the corn, and they ate it. And so they were judged by the Pharisees that this is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. And our Messiah simply took it back to the days when David was on the run with his men. They've been on the run for a very long time, and they were all extremely hungry. And they went in and they talked to the priest, and they ate bread that was not for normal men. They ate the bread that was for priests. They ate the showbread. That wasn't to be eaten. But in an emergency, this is what he was saying, is that this happens. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. And under every other conditions and circumstances, if you're in your house and you have a cornfield, and if you went out to the cornfield on the Sabbath, that is breaking the laws of God. However, if you're in another town or if you're somewhere else, you don't have the ability to do that, and you are starving to death and you're walking through a cornfield and you eat the corn, you're not going to be judged for that. That is how you have to have discernment on this, right? It is not a day of punishment to you. It is a day of rest. And if you are out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have any access to food, then if you take a set of corn and eat it, you're not going to be judged for that. Going on, and this is the same. Or have you not read in the law how on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? And this is very important as well, because there's always a group of people that back in the day that on the Sabbath, the priests, they were the ones who were always working. These were the ones that were always busy. And they were breaking the Sabbath by working, but they are commanded to break the Sabbath. There's nowhere else in the Bible that anyone is commanded to break the Sabbath. And the priests were different. And we absolutely don't have priests, and we don't have any of that jive anymore. So, but here's the thing. Again, these people are blameless. The priests are not held accountable for working on the Sabbath, sacrificing things, taking care of the people. They're ministering to the people. That is their job. And here we go, Matthew 12:8. For the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath day. The Christians will free themselves from this every single time. There is no Sabbath because Jesus is our Sabbath. And if you look closely at this, it doesn't say this. It doesn't say there is no Sabbath. It doesn't say that the Sabbath day is no more. In fact, our Messiah says, if you love me, keep my commandments. And his commandments, well, the Christians will tell you, are two. But his will is the same as his Father's, so that means our Messiah has a tremendous amount of commandments, which are all of his Father's. But if you're only saying that he only has two, and the first one is to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself, tossing the commandments of God, not observing the day that he told us to say that he wants to spend time with us, not doing that is not loving God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And you may think it is, but it's not. And you will probably be told to depart from him. Matthew 12:10. And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered, and they asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day, that they might accuse him? Again, I've heard this over and over and over. Well, Jesus heals on the Sabbath. They do all the Sabbath. And when you read the Bible very clearly, it's absolutely okay to heal on the Sabbath. If you guys have healing power and you walk across a man that is on the ground and you can get this guy to rise up on the Sabbath, it is absolutely your duty to heal on the Sabbath. That is what our Messiah said. And he said unto them, What man shall be among you that shall have one sheep, and it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? So there's always not an out, but there is an out. If your animals fall into a ditch, our Messiah goes right now, common sense says you're not going to leave your animal in a pit to die, right? If you have something that falls into a pit and it's about life or death, you're supposed to take care of your animals. You're supposed to do that. So Matthew 12:12, how much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore is it lawful to do well on the Sabbath days? Is the point. Yeah, it is. That's the point. Matthew 24:20, but pray ye that your flight not be in winter or neither on the Sabbath day. He's talking about a time when they're about to be destroyed. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and other Mary to see the sepulchre. Okay, so this is when our Messiah was basically being killed, right? This is the end of it, and our Messiah died on a preparation day, and he rose on the first day. Mark 1:21, they went to Capernaum straightway on the Sabbath day. He went into the synagogue and taught. And so this is just talking about our Messiah. Our Messiah kept the Sabbath day, right? He went and taught on the Sabbath day. And people will say, well, nobody kept the Sabbath. Our Messiah kept the Sabbath. Paul kept the Sabbath. Titus kept the Sabbath. Everybody kept the Sabbath. Back in the days, that's what you did. The Sabbath day was the Sabbath day. They never changed that until hundreds and hundreds of years after our Messiah was gone. they changed that up, and now here we are brainwashed into thinking Sunday is Sabbath, and it's not. And there is the one about the cornfield again, another story, the same story. And this is why you could tell the Bible is very true, because it has a lot of the same stories with just various different details. It's not the same story. It's how you can tell eyewitnesses' accounts are right or wrong, because they tell you the same story with just different details, but it's the same story, right? And that's yet more confirmation of this. Here it is again. And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. People have to understand this. Right here, somebody has quoted this before, and they're like, there you go. We don't have to have a Sabbath. And it's not true, because when you start observing the Sabbath day, the holy day, the seventh day, you will understand, and your body will change, your family will change, your life will change, your intentions will change, your entire world will change. You will go 6 days, and on that 6th day, you're going to be preparing for that 7th day. Because the 7th day you don't work, you chill, you become lazy, and you recharge. And we as human beings don't understand this. We didn't create us. We didn't design us. We didn't create our DNA. We didn't make us in his image, and we are made in the image of our Father, Yahuwah. He rests on the 7th day. Everybody rests. He rests. Everybody. The rest is it's a special day. So this is not just you're bypassing anything. You're screwing your system up. You're screwing your family up, literally, by not doing what your Creator says to do, because you function far better doing this than not. And so if you don't want to function well, then I guess just keep not keeping the Sabbath. And there it is again. Therefore the Son of the Lord is also the Lord of the Sabbath. And they watched him, and whether he would heal on the Sabbath day, that he might accuse him. And he saith unto them, is it lawful to do what is good on the Sabbath? So it goes over and over and over, reiterating a lot of this. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue. Again, our Messiah teaching in the synagogue. And it goes over and over. Mark, let's go into Luke. Sabbath day. Yep. Capernaum, Sabbath days, right? More Sabbath days in Luke. Luke 6:2. And a certain Pharisee said unto him, which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath days. And he said unto them that the Son of Man is also the Lord also of the Sabbath. So we have heard that like 3 times now in the same book, in the same total book, different parts of the larger book. Came to pass on the Sabbath, Pharisees watch him in more Sabbath. This is where our Messiah says. Then said Yahushua unto them, I will ask you one thing: is it lawful on the Sabbath day to do good or to do evil, to save life or to destroy it? Very easy. So this is the question. This is how you legitimize. If you don't know what you should be doing on the Sabbath, is it going to save a life or is it going to destroy it? Are you doing something like, is your neighbor going to die? Will your neighbor not be alive if you don't do something, right? If you're talking about life or death, the answer is life. Do what you need to do to save life. And you're not going to be judged based upon this. I mean, this is how you can legitimize what you're doing as long as you're doing it right. Luke 13:10, and he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. Guys, the common theme is our Messiah was doing things on the Sabbath constantly. And you're going to hear the dogs bark. I can't do anything about it. Luke 13:14, the ruler of the synagogue answered in indignation because Yahushua had healed on the Sabbath day. He said to the people, there are 6 days in which men ought to work in them. Therefore, come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. That is from a Pharisee. That is from a synagogue of Satan person. Now, the Pharisees and Sadducees, my friends, did not and do not keep the Sabbath and do not keep the Torah, right? They don't keep this. They don't keep the same kind of stuff that we do. So he's saying, don't do it on the Sabbath day. And our Messiah goes, the Lord, which Yahushua then answered him and said, thou hypocrite, doth not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his donkey and his ox and from the stall and lead him away to watering? So he's comparing this to healing somebody, right? You're technically working by unleashing, by walking outside doing basic work. You're still working to survive. And he was healing people. And that was the point. And ought not this woman being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan hath bound, lo, these 18 years be loosed from the bond on the Sabbath day. She was bleeding for years and years and years. This is the woman that was bleeding, right? And he healed her. And it came to pass as he went into the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day that they watched him. Guys, and Jesus spake unto him, Yahushua spake unto the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? It was all about the Sabbath day, guys. Luke 14:15. Let's keep. Yeah, the Sabbath grew on, right? And our Messiah was crucified over a Sabbath. It was prior, and then he awoken on the first day. And that's what, again, the Christians will go, well, our Messiah rose on the first day. You're creating a religion based upon putting a day that you're supposed to worship on the day our Messiah was risen. It doesn't say that in the Bible. If you're doing that, and if you're worshiping on a Sunday, Hasatan, Satan is the god of that church. I'm sorry, that breaks people's hearts, but that is the way it is. It's just how it is. John 5:9, immediately this man was made whole, took up his bed, and on the same day was the Sabbath. Our Father, our Messiah, healed him, and he stood up and walked, right? And that was, he shouldn't have taken his bed, is what the Pharisees and Sadducees said. So they're missing the entire point of this. More, John, Jews persecute on the Sabbath day, right? It goes over and over. And this is, John said, people don't understand this stuff. Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because it is of Moses, but of the fathers. And, in the parentheses right there is what the translators believed. That is not what it actually means. But, and ye on the Sabbath day circumcise a man, which if your son is supposed to be circumcised on the 8th day, if it is on a Shabbat, you still need to circumcise your boy on the 8th day. If a man on the 7th day receives the circumcision, that the law of Moses should not be broken, and ye angry at me because I have made a man every whit whole on the Sabbath day. Yeah, and so we're talking about circumcision, about the act of circumcising, which our Father said to do, and it is something that we should still be doing today. And a lot of people are like, you shouldn't circumcise that's bloodletting, that's blah, blah, blah. People don't get it. People just do not get it, and they won't. And so this is for people with open eyes. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. More of our Messiah healing on the Sabbath day. More John. I want to get out of John. And they returned to Jerusalem from the Olive Mount, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. So it's a day's journey in Acts. Paul's going around this. They prepared for Perga. They sing it on the Sabbath day and sat down. So Paul, right here, guys, Paul is keeping the Sabbath day. So many of you guys have said, well, Paul says blah, blah, blah on the Sabbath day. Paul does not say not to keep the Sabbath. He never, ever does. He always is keeping the Sabbath day. He's always keeping the laws. For they that dwell at Jerusalem and the rulers, because they knew him not, nor yet the voices of the prophets, which are read every Sabbath day, they have fulfilled. So Acts 13:27, Acts, this is the God of the Christian church, is Paul. And I don't say that attackingly. It's that most people will quote Paul over and over and over. And I'm like, what about the words of God? Well, don't worry about the words of God. We were about Paul. Paul came later. Paul gave us this new doctrine. And this new doctrine is we have a church. And this church is going to get raptured, and all we have to do is go out and preach about the grace of our Messiah, and you can accept him. Hold your hand up at 8 years old, accept him into your life, and as long as you have been forgiven for your sins before you die, you will go to heaven. That's all there is. And I would like to tell you guys that's not all there is. In fact, that is part of the synagogue of Satan. And if we were to read the Bible in full, it says that we need to keep the law, statutes, and commands till all generation, till the end. And we're not there yet, guys. And so here's Paul talking about next Sabbath, right? And the next Sabbath came, right? They're at the Sabbath. For the times of old in every city that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day. Guys, we're supposed to be reading the Torah. Guys, on Acts 15:21, when they're talking about reading on the Sabbath day, they're not reading 1 Corinthians. They're not reading Chronicles. They don't even know who in the world Paul is. Right? Paul is just some dude at this point. Paul became the God of the Christian church hundreds of years later. Hundreds of years later. In fact, Paul got into it with all the disciples. When you read the Bible clearly, all the disciples are not in order with Paul. In fact, it's quite opposite. He loses a lot of his people all the way to the end. The disciples that were originally with our Messiah did not stick around with Paul all the way to the end. But here, right here, do you know what they're reading in the synagogues? They're reading the Torah, the same stuff that we should be reading every single day. That's what they were reading in the synagogues. They weren't reading Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They weren't reading Revelations. They were reading the Torah. Again, Acts 16:13. And on the Sabbath day, right? There it is. And there's Acts 17:32. After 3 Sabbath days, reasoned with them out of the Scriptures. Paul was talking about the Sabbath. And he reasoned in every synagogue, every Sabbath. Guys, this is not Sunday. Paul was in the church, a synagogue, on a Sabbath. He would have been stoned to death. If he would have gone on the first day and started teaching like it was a seventh day, they would have killed him. Oh, there's a big one right here. Okay, we finally made it to the bottom of this. And the bottom of this is very important. This is another, Paul is the God of the Christian church, because Colossians 2:6 says, let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in respect of a holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbaths. So you have one guy, his name is Shaul, and he hated Christians. He beat them all up. He killed them. He was a full-on Jew. He got converted. He began and started teaching all this other stuff. He started writing and letters to churches that he had helped create. And in Colossians 2:16, he says, let no man judge you. Do you understand what this means? There is no man judging you anyway. You will be judged by the hand of our Creator based upon the Torah that he gave us. Of course, no man is going to judge you. But why did he say, let no man judge you? Because he was talking to people that never kept the Sabbath to begin with. They never kept the laws of God to begin with. He went down and ministered to them, and he got a little group of people that decided they were going to keep the laws of God. They were going to keep the Sabbath. They were going to eat clean foods and not the roadkill. And they decided to do this. And so they started doing this. And so they got a little synagogue and ecclesia going down there. And all their buddies who lived in these same little places, who had for years had them over to party it up, they all had probably eaten humans. They had probably all done they all were used to this, right? These were the old people. And they went to this little tiny ecclesia that didn't have Paul sitting there. And all of these people went, why are you keeping the Sabbath? Why are you eating clean foods? Why are you doing this? So you had a bunch of people that were outsiders condemning people that were trying to keep the laws of God, which is almost like what today is. Because everybody that comes across, they're like, Jason, you shouldn't be keeping the laws of God. Oh, that's blasphemy. That's heresy. It's gone. Let me show you what Paul says. And Paul says, don't let any man judge you in meat. Because we're now eating clean foods, folks. That we're not eating this roadkill. It says don't let them do it in drink. We used to drink blood. Now we don't drink blood. We drink water, right? Well, what about the holy days? We don't keep the feast. We don't keep Passover. We don't keep any of that, but now we do. Okay, so these people are sitting there judging a little tiny ecclesia of people who were keeping the law. They were keeping the Sabbath. They were keeping the drinks and all the food law, all this stuff. And he says, don't let them judge you in that. But yet you will have churches and leaders of churches and people that are brainwashed by the church of synagogue of Satan. And there's 30-some thousand denominations of the synagogue of Satan. And every single one of them worship on a Sunday. Now, if you go to the Bible, that is completely incorrect. But most people don't want to hear about it. Most people don't want to, they don't want any of this. So this is a Sabbath teaching on the Sabbath, that you should be keeping the Sabbath, you and your family and anybody who wants to be blessed. If you don't want to be blessed, go check the oil in your lawnmower, fill it up, mow your lawn, do your dishes, eat, go out and pay people. And it may just be a normal everyday day to you. But imagine what your day may look like if you were keeping the laws of God. Imagine what the other 6 days of your week would look like if you were keeping the laws of God. Imagine the blessings that may come on the first day just being a normal everyday day if you kept the seventh day, which says it's blessed and hallowed. So you're missing out on your entire life of blessings as you hang the laws of God on the cross and you don't observe the Sabbath. It's difficult and it's strange at first to keep the Sabbath. And I won't say it's difficult, but it's strange. It's strange to take a day off when you normally do everything on a Saturday. It is strange that you feel lazy at first. You feel lazy, but then once you get in the routine, you will take in those 6 days that you have prior to the Sabbath, you will realize that it's time to put a turbo on this. It's time, because we got 6 days before we don't do anything, and it is a rest to us. And guys, when you come out of a Sabbath on the first day, when you're done with the Sabbath, you feel like $1,000,000, right? You feel like you could do laps. Your body is rested. Your mind is rested. You've had a nap or two. You've read the Word of God. You've spent time with your family, right? This is a time for bonding. This is a blessing, and this is why there's blessings. And if you made it to the end of this video, much love to y'all. I'm out. Have a good day.